in order to succeed, the left also sometimes has to cooperate with liberals. And so if your attitude constantly is fuck liberals, just as a universal fuck take,
yes,
you're never going to create a coalition that has any kind of electoral effectiveness. You will get things done in a different way and on a different time scale. But the South African anti-apartheid movement eventually led to congressional action that was something that liberals ended up making law. And that was the Normandy. Sorry for the military metaphor, but that was the beachhead. That was the watershed. And then the other thing that you have to think about in terms of internal to the success of anti-apartheid is at the similar moment in, like, I think it was 1989 or 1990, that when Gorbachev was saying perestroika, and when Gorbachev was saying, like, let's let Eastern Europe do its thing. Like, Gorbachev was an internal inside character inside the Soviet Union who didn't overdetermine the breakup of the Soviet Union, but had an enormous role to play in allowing different people agency that they were policing prior to that. In South Africa, it's shocked the shit out of people when F.W. de Klerk all of a sudden said in February 1990, we're lifting the ban on the ANC. And why don't we have some free fucking elections? And all of a sudden, Nelson Mandela, who's like a character that the whole world fucking loves and whose long-term incarceration pissed the shit out of people and helped galvanize the entire global anti-apartheid
he was like
movement.
The symbol of anti-apartheid.
He was also the face of a certain kind of divestment strategy in the West, because people could point to him and say, here's this like King Gandhi type figure who's been suffering and suffering. It's kind of a Christ narrative. And this guy represents like the good half of this whole state that we associate with all these horrors. And Mandela plays this large symbolic role. There's, you know, I don't want to go too far into it. The dynamics today between Israel and Gaza, once you strip out the divestment tactic, are way, way different. So number one, the stuff that was happening in the context of communism and the Cold War, it took that to shake up internal and external politics in the United States and South Africa to release this apartheid state into a democratic state run by a majority black population. Well, what's the Cold War today? It's not a Cold War that's keeping Israel locked into place in the Middle East. It's fucking oil. It's natural resources. That's not a fucking Cold War. And so until you figure out another global oil regime, you're going to have to pry the U.S.'s dead fingers off the trigger of arming Israel